The first one on the online policy task force that the Vice President's leading, that's getting kicked off today. On a background call last night, we were told that it's going to be different from the Disinformation Governance Board in that it's going to focus on illegal conduct online. But the memo creating it was a little bit broader and mentioned, and I'm quoting from the document, quote, online harassment, abuse, and disinformation campaigns targeting women and LGBTQI+ individuals who are public and political figures. Could you clear up the disinformation charge of this?
So I would need to talk to her team. I was not on the background call, so that specific language that you're providing to me, I would just have to check in with her. I would also encourage you to check as well with her team. I can't say more because I wasn't on the background call.
Thank you. And,
All right, guys. So we got to talk about a shock poll, and I'm using the word shock very, very, very loosely. And the reason why is because if you guys have been watching my channel, none of you should be surprised by the fact that this poll found that Republicans are better at preserving democracy than Democrats. Okay? Now, again, people on the left will be surprised to hear this. They will be shocked by this, but I'm simply not, because, one, I don't think that the American people are stupid like the Democrat Party thinks that the American people are stupid. And anybody that is paying attention, right? If you're paying just even a little bit of attention to what's going on, right, outside of just the mainstream media, if you're digging a little bit deeper, you can see that clearly the Democrats do not give a damn about democracy, and that they are clearly a party of authoritarianism. Okay, I mean, let's be real. They don't give a damn about democracy. I mean, some examples. They didn't give a damn about democracy back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton tried to orchestrate a failed coup against President Trump by, first of all, during the election, pushing the false conspiracy that Trump was working with Putin, right? Colluding with Putin to try to win the election. All types of crazy stories came out of that. For example, the Steele dossier, which basically accused Trump of being a Manchurian candidate who liked getting peed on by Russian prostitutes. Things like this, the false Russian collusion hoax, was used as a premise to attempt to overturn the 2016 election that Trump won fair and square, okay? And they tried to do that multiple times through impeachment. They never accepted the fact that Trump was legitimately elected as president of the United States back in 2016, okay? And they still don't accept it, right? During Trump's term, he nominated Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, in which far-left woke extremists stormed the Capitol in order to try to stop the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, right? The Democrat Party today routinely tries to censor opinions that they don't like, either through pressuring the mainstream media or social media. Therefore, mandates, okay? Therefore, all types of things that clearly are authoritarianism and are in opposition to democracy, right? But they come out here every single day, along with the mainstream liberal media, which is a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party, and they lecture us about January 6th and Trump and the attack on democracy. Our democracy is at stake. Everything that Republicans do are against our democracy. Vote for us to save democracy, right? This is what they say. But just like the overused rhetoric in regards to the GOP being a party of white supremacy, people aren't buying it. People don't care about that anymore, especially when the economy is as terrible as it is. Again, as this poll from Fox News shows that people trust Republicans more when it comes to preserving democracy than the Democrats, okay? And why is that, guys? Why is that? It's because if you look just slightly deeper than the surface level, it is very clear which party, right, actually cares about democracy and which party doesn't. Clearly, it's not Democrats, especially when they are doing things like this, right? As Kamala Harris announces the launch of the White House task force to stop online gender disinformation abuse. Now, doesn't this sound a whole lot like the now paused governance disinformation board that the Democrats had to put on hold because everybody knew that it was just the Democrats' attempt to silence opinions that they don't like? They won't give up, right? The Democrats are hell-bent on trying to silence opinions that they don't like. So they basically say, hey, you know, Kamala, make yourself useful. right? Let's announce this so-called gender disinformation task force, right? And we'll try that instead, right? We'll try that instead, because anybody that's opposed to this, we can call them homophobic and transphobic, right? Now, the Democrats are doing this in celebration of Pride Month. Now, I want you guys to take a quick look at Kamala Harris attending a pride parade, something that she's done more times than visiting the border, and the announcement of this task force and what they are allegedly trying to do with it.
We have so much to celebrate, and we celebrate each other every day. We celebrate the progress we have made, and we celebrate the fact that we are in this to stand for what we stand for and fight for what we stand for. Because no one should fear going to a nightclub for fear that a terrorist might try to take them down. No one should fear going to a pride celebration because of a white supremacist. No one should fear loving who they love. Our children in Texas and Florida should not fear who they are. Black and brown and women of color, transgender women should not fear for their lives. We should not have to be dealing with 300 laws in states around our country that are attacking our LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters. So we know what we stand for, and therefore we know what we will fight for.
Thank you so much for joining us today at the launch of the White House Task Force to address online harassment and abuse. I'd like to thank Vice President Harris for launching the task force today, along with Attorney General Garland and Surgeon General Murty. This task force will address the pervasive problem of online harassment and abuse, which disproportionately targets women, girls, and LGBTQI+ people. It will focus on 5 broad areas. First, prevention. Second, services and support for survivors. Third, research to better understand the scope and impact of the problem. Fourth, accountability. And fifth, the connection between online harassment, hate, and extremist violence.
Yeah, so a couple things here, right? Outside of the obvious, which is, again, this is just the Democrats' attempt to put a rainbow flag on their government's disinformation board that got shut down because the American people were like, yo, what is this, right? This is some Orwellian Ministry of Truth nonsense, right? So they throw, again, a rainbow flag on it, right? To say, well, you know, if anybody opposes this, then you must be for violence against LGBTQ people, right? You must be a bigot. You must be transphobic. You must be homophobic. That is what's about to happen when Republicans speak out about this, right? Again, this is the trick of the Democrat Party, right? It's the same old trick every single time. Second of all, again, ain't it amazing how during a period of time in which we have crises all across the board, the Democrats feel the need to come out here and to attend pride parades. She'll attend a pride parade, Kamala Harris, but won't go to the border. We have a southern border crisis, right? And they've given a full-throated endorsement to, you know, drag queens, aka male strippers, being around children, okay? And, you know, teachers being able to talk to kids about sex and gender and all that other stuff. They've just given a full-throated endorsement to far-left extremism, right? They're totally okay with it, okay? And again, I just don't understand why this administration's priorities are in such a bad place. I don't understand. I don't understand. So that being said, let's actually read about this, okay? Vice President Kamala Harris announced the launch of a task force to address online harassment and abuse Thursday at the White House. Harris praised the task force in her remarks as a means for societal progress, saying, quote, "No one should have to endure abuse just because they're attempting to participate in society." Again, I would be pressing these people on what abuse are LGBTQ people experiencing, okay, just because they try to participate in society, right? Not being allowed to, again, talk to kids about sex and gender. Is that abuse? Is that what you're talking about? Because I can't think of one right that LGBTQ plus people don't have. I can't think of any. A memo on the task force released by the White House condemned, quote, gender disinformation and proclaimed the administration will be, quote, developing programs and policies to address online harassment, abuse, and disinformation campaign targeting women and LGBTQI plus individuals who are public and political figures, government and civic leaders, activists, and journalists in the United States and globally. Okay, so this is the same thing that Biden's minister of truth was talking about in regards to wanting to censor opinions they don't agree with, specifically in regards to women, right? They don't want people to be able to say anything bad about women or LGBTQ people on the internet, right? Even if those people are political figures, right? So they're saying, look, we want to censor so-called disinformation campaigns against anybody that is a woman or LGBTQ online, right? Including political figures. Again, this is anti-free speech as it gets. And again, this is why you see a poll like that, in which, again, anybody paying attention to this stuff is going to say, this don't sound like people that actually really support democracy, right? These sound like authoritarians, right? That's exactly what they are, right? Again, this is the Governance Disinformation Board with a rainbow flag. That's what it is. The memo suggests that online harassment has devastating costs for democracy itself by undermining people's ability to exercise their human rights and participate in democracy, governance, and civic life. Again, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Again, anybody that disagrees with Democrats is a threat to democracy. That's what I think that it means, right? That's what it means. It went on to claim, quote, online abuse and harassment, which aim to preclude women from political decision-making about their own lives and communities, undermine the functioning of democracy, aka being against abortion is a threat to democracy. That's what it sounds like to me, right? Because again, how are women being precluded from political decision-making about their own lives and communities? I don't understand what that means. Give me an example. And I guarantee if you ask, none of these people will be able to give one example. Just like Mariakis couldn't give an example of white supremacist violence and threats in cases that the Department of Homeland Security is currently working on, right? Even though this man said the biggest threat to this country is white supremacy, he couldn't name a case. He couldn't name a white supremacist. Again, these people, they're just making stuff up at this point. It's absolutely incredible. The director of the White House Gender Policy Council and the assistant to the president for national security affairs will lead the interagency effort to address online harassment and abuse, specifically focus on technology-facilitated gender-based violence, and to develop concrete recommendations to improve prevention, response, and protection efforts through programs and policies in the United States and globally. Again, I have no idea what that means. These are people that say misgendering somebody is violence. Right? So again, if these people think that misgendering somebody is violence, I think that is a part of probably what they're trying to censor. Right? They're trying to deplatform anybody that, you know, won't use somebody's preferred pronouns. Right? Again, these are the people claiming that, hey, vote for us and we're trying to save democracy. Although Harris mentioned concern about white supremacy online and privacy protection for abortions in her remarks, ding, 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 I told you that's what this was about. Right? Neither she nor the memo mentioned far-left Antifa groups doxing politicians or dangerous leftist activity online. Yeah, because they agree with that. They're totally fine with that. They're not trying to, you know, actually save the lives of any of their political opponents that they disagree with out of principle, or trying to get rid of extremism or any of that. They're simply just trying to stack the deck in their favor because they know that their opinions are actually unpopular, right? They know that people are about to vote them out because of the state of the economy, so they got to try to basically do stuff like this in order to censor opinions that they don't like. Former Congresswoman Nan Hayworth called out the task force blind spot by appearing to sarcastically praise the institution of Twitter. Quote, excellent, happy to invite Ms. Harris and her task force to read the comments from leftist trolls on my timeline. They don't care about that. Media Research Center founder and CEO Brett Bozell skewered the Biden administration in a tweet warning, quote, nothing good can come out of the White House Gender Policy Council, especially when they collude with big tech. Why in the world do we have a Gender Policy Council? Why do we have that? Again, we have so many useless, bloated government institutions in this country. I don't understand. I really don't get it. Some responded by directly drawing comparisons between the task force and the Disinformation Governance Board. This is a new disinformation task force. This one will be led by Kamala Harris, the Young Americans for Liberty Twitter account lamented in a tweet, "The biggest purveyor of disinformation is the U.S. government. They certainly aren't qualified to police it." Facts. Again, it's just the government's disinformation board with a rainbow flag, right? That's all it is. Conservative commentator Matt Whitlock made a similar observation. "Wow, the Kamala Harris Online Policy Task Force sounds suspiciously like the DHS Disinformation Board." Yeah, because it is, right? It is. So, again, guys, to me, if you're paying attention to what Democrats are doing, if you're not just listening to mainstream liberal media who will not cover this, they're not going to talk about this at all, it is clear that, you know, the Democrats don't care about democracy, and the polls are showing that the American people, at the very least, are paying attention to this, and they agree that, yeah, these people really don't care about democracy, right? Because when you do stuff like this, it shows you that these people really only care about maintaining power, and that's it. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.